Well, we have two major Marvel stories colliding today, and boy did they draw an interesting picture of what's going on behind the scenes at Marvel Studios. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about all the changes in Marvel's trademarks and the recent report that Kang is being written out of the MCU. Now, before we do all this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring that bell for all the updates. We want to be your place for Marvel and DC news. We do daily videos, and we're going to try to bring you the news truthfully and transparently because that's the best way to keep you in the know. Well, we've had a really interesting 1-2 punch from Marvel Studios today. And although I actually worked up the trademark video earlier, we got this news story and it had to be completely scrapped. Now, if you've been paying attention to Marvel, you know last year at San Diego Comic-Con, we got a bit of a preview a few days earlier. A whole series of trademarks that were filed by Marvel Studios got leaked onto social media, and they basically spoiled some big Hall H announcements, including the Multiverse Saga, Avengers Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars. Now, there was a laundry list of these trademarks that were registered, and others included Celestial's End of Time, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and the Black Knight Origins film, Captain America, Red, White, and Black, and a whole series of other ones that now have been canceled. Now, earlier today, the team over at the streamer on Twitter posted a couple of screenshots that seemed to indicate Marvel Studios had withdrawn several trademarks, and these included Eternity Saga, Nomad, Runaways The New Era, and Timeless Saga. Now, this seemed like a little bit of Marvel housekeeping, and given what's going on at Marvel Studios and the focus on quality over quantity, some of these made a lot of sense. Nomad and Runaways was stretching it out pretty far, and it would seem in due order for Marvel to make these changes. But here's where it gets interesting. Now, it's no secret that Kang actor Jonathan Majors is facing some pretty serious legal issues, which could potentially land him in jail. The case is headed to trial, and given the nature of the charges, well, quite honestly, I don't see how Marvel Studios would move forward with the actor if he's convicted. Now, this has led to a lot of speculation of what Marvel is going to do, and recently, the author of MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, Joanna Robinson, was on The Ringer's House of R podcast, and she shared an update on where things stand with Kang Dynasty, and even confirmed Jeff Loveness is off the film. She said, "I heard from someone recently that screenwriter Jeff Loveness, who wrote Quantumania, was no longer supposed to write Kang Dynasty. Anyway, it's confirmed. I had it confirmed to me he's no longer working for Marvel. I asked the person why, and they said the reason why is he was all wrapped up in the Kang storyline, and they are likely going to be moving away from that." Now, that is the big line, that Marvel could be potentially moving away from using Kang at all. Quite honestly, is one heck of a move by Marvel Studios. I honestly don't understand the resistance to recast a guy if he's convicted of these crimes, and to toss Kang out on his head after all this work seems like a bit of a drastic move. Now, the character has not resonated with fans in the same way Thanos did during the first 3 phases. But to be fair, we really just got to know the character in the last year, and we've only had a tease of what he's capable of when we met the Council of Kangs at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Now, Loki left Marvel Studios in a position to do exactly this, because Loki himself basically can remove these variants from the new multiverse. Also, the series ended, making it pretty clear that TVA was keeping a close eye on things and these Kang variants. So these may have actually been all the pieces Marvel needs to move forward, and, well, where do they go? Now, obviously they would have to introduce a new villain and out and out cancel the Kang Dynasty, which takes us back to those trademarks because one of the trademarks Marvel decided to keep was Avengers Eternity War. This title would match nicely with Secret Wars, but it begs a ton of questions of how Marvel Studio could possibly set up this film. Who would be the big villain to close out the Phase 6 finale? Marvel spent a lot of time building up Thanos. So just to remove Kang is not that simple, and there's so much work that has already gone into this, well, they would have to do a really big about face. Now, there's tons of villains in the Marvel arsenal. They could go straight to the Beyonder, which would be pretty interesting. They could go with Doom, but that would feel rushed. Or they could go back to an old staple, Loki, but given what happened at the end of Loki and the self-awareness and character arc that he has at this point, that also really wouldn't work, and I have to say, that would not only disappoint fans, that would probably legitimately piss them off. Now, this is an ongoing story and still in rumor status. We haven't got any of it confirmed, but it sounds like a lot of the adjustments fans are expecting have been going on behind the scenes at Marvel Studios, and actually starts to sound like the beginnings of a plan. If Kang Dynasty is ultimately canceled and or replaced with Eternity War, we're gonna have to wait and see, but I still think the future for Marvel Studios is pretty bright, and these few stumbling blocks they've had the last year or so are not gonna crush the franchise, no matter what Variety has to say.